I then picked up the phone. Hello? I asked into the phone. Where are you? David asked through the phone. What? Did Peter tell you I asked through the phone? That's not an acceptable answer, David answered through the phone. Well, that is your answer, I said. Well, too bad, said David. We're saving Dr. Morcassius' mother's life, I said. Then why are you up past midnight? David asked. Because we are hiding somewhere to get back to Robbinsog in the morning, I said. Then go to Robbinsog now, said David. No, I answered. Why? David asked. It's unsafe to go through the loop at this hour, I answered. Why? David asked. Because it is, I said. Why? David asked. Because it's dangerous to go to the building the nation of Robbinsog is in. Because right now it is surrounded by law enforcement, and law enforcement is dangerous to go around at night because we don't know what we are doing, I said. Then think of something to end this, said David. I already have, I said. No, you haven't, said David. You're right, I haven't, I said. So think of something, said David. But by that I mean, I said, and Robbins did all that, and it's good enough for us, I said. You better have a solution. Chicago's in pure and total chaos, said David. I know that, I screamed. Dr. Morcassius, Sam, and George then looked at me like I shouldn't have done that, like I shouldn't have done that, and I probably shouldn't have. Do not raise your voice to me, said David. David, I'm 26 years old. You need to stop talking to me like I am 2.6, I said. You're my daughter, said David. I know, I said. We love you, said David. I know that too, I said. Your safety is really important to us, said David. I know that, I said. What is it with you and the term I know that, David asked. I don't know, I said. Why, David asked. Why does it matter, I asked. I just want to make sure you were doing okay, said David. How does how I talk with you impact that, I asked. It makes me concerned, said David. How? I asked. You should know that because you studied psychology, David said. I'm not a psychologist, though. I'm a prosecuting attorney at law. It doesn't matter. You should know this, said David. 3, I said. Don't do this to me, said David. 2, I said. Don't, said David. 1, I said. Don't do this, Don't do this, Hannah. I love you, and all I want is for you to come home because I am concerned, said David, who was now crying. 0. You know, I am concerned about you too. I'm concerned about you becoming a cunt, which is why I feel like your mother should have aborted you, I said. I then hung up. That was mean, said Dr. Morcassius. I'll apologize later, I said. I hope so, said Dr. Morcassius. Now I really am ready to go, said George. Sam nodded. Me 3, said Dr. Morcassius. Sam then gave a thumbs up. Are you going to be okay if I turn my phone off for the night, I asked. Yes, answered Dr. Morcassius. Okay, I said. I have the alarm set for 9, said George. Well, what are you at percentage-wise, Dr. Morcassius asked. 95%, because while we were leaving Robbinsog, I stole Mom's rechargeable charger, answered George. 95% in counting or dwindling, asked Dr. Morcassius. Counting, but I don't think for much longer, answered George. Do you have all your apps closed, Dr. Morcassius asked. Hold on, said George. George then got his phone and turned off the apps he left on. Yeah. Yes, they're off. Are they off now? Yes, answered George. That show should be enough to get us through the night, said Dr. Morcassius. Good, said George. Good night, I said. Good night, said Dr. Morcassius. Good night, said George. Sam then gave a thumbs up. We then also went to sleep for the night. Our night ended an hour later at 2 in the morning. There they are, said a voice. Sam lost his balance and we all went tumbling out of the slide. When we were all out of the slide, we were all awake. Looks like we have the tear gas. Looks like we have the tear gas and a loaded Chicago Police Department gun, said a police officer. Sam then realized before the rest of us what was going on before the rest of us did. You are under arrest, said a police officer. How did he find us, said Dr. Morcassius, laughing and sticking his hands up in the air. Security check. It wasn't for yelling, said the conservatory curator. Sam I then saw turned on the ceiling fans in the children's garden room. We caught them, said one of the cops into the walkie-talkie. Sam I saw took off like lightning and swiped the gloves Dr. Morcassius was wearing as part of his Dr. Morcassius persona. Hey, said Dr. Morcassius. Sam then winked. Okay, I said. You are under arrest for the wrongful use of weapons and as a criminal accomplices, said the cop, closing in on Dr. Morcassius with handcuffs. Screamed Sam. George then jumped and grabbed onto the ceiling fan blades and began kicking around the cops and the ceiling fan. And the ceiling fan was going on high, so they weren't able to hit him when they fired at him. Eventually, the ceiling fan couldn't take it anymore. It went down from the ceiling, and he knocked out one of the cops. And then the curator, on his way down, opened his arms and knocked out the curator and the two cops in there. Great job, said Dr. Morcassius. Sam nodded and gathered his weapons. I wish you were nicer to that ceiling fan, though, said George, because he loves ceiling fans. Don't worry about that now, said Dr. Morcassius. Sam was giving Dr. Morcassius' gloves back, then I began to know something. Does anyone smell smoke, I asked. We then saw the area where the ceiling fan was, and it was smoking because of the displacement of electricity. Shit, Sam, I'm letting you know right now, this is not your fault, said Dr. Morcassius. Dr. Morcassius then pulled the fire alarm. Let's go, said Dr. Morcassius, grabbing the briefcase at the cure. But we should stay here to admit what happened, I said. When we all get caught, said Dr. Morcassius, Sam then began gathering his weapons. We need to get going because now people could be on our asses, said George. I then rushed outside with George and Sam, and Dr. Morcassius soon followed. The fire looks like it is spreading like wildfire, said Dr. Morcassius. Sam was crying. It is okay. We're going to miss it here too, said Dr. Morcassius. We then heard emergency sirens go off as we were watching from the other side near the secret spot. Now what do we do? George asked. I then saw Dr. Morcassius listen to where the sounds were coming from. Follow me to hide, said Dr. Morcassius.